Hello YouTube! Hello, hello. Time for another speed lab. And we're still back with our boy, Kaz, you know? This time we're gonna be labbing this man. The very, very honest, not cheap at all character that wins very, very fairly every time. So, yeah, Marduk, right? Of course you know I was talking about Marduk. This guy never cheeses you, never. Ever. But yeah, let's discuss this character. First, let's discuss the neutral in general, and then discuss some other stuff. But yeah, this character, Marduk, pretty good, you know? Pretty good. Pretty strong character. Yeah, when it comes to this matchup, you have to realize one thing that's very, very important. Is that Electrics is gonna be your best friend. Because they're gonna be very strong against someone like Marduk. So one reason is because Marduk's sidestep to the left, like this sidestep, isn't that strong. Normally people can sidestep Electrics, right? Even though it's hard to sidestep. Sidestep left of Marduk is like even worse than average. So he can't sidestep Electrics almost at all. His sidestep right is decent, but we all know sidestep right isn't the way to go against Electrics. It will still clip you. So Electrics are great just because of that reason. And the other reason is because Marduk really doesn't have that much high crushing tools. Like when he comes in, the one high crushing tool he has is kind of this, down 4. But this down 4 is launch punishable. Minus 16. Like this will high crush an electric, for example, right? Like I'm showcasing right now. But if you do block it, it's launch. And if you don't block it, it's still minus 5 for Marduk. So electric keep out in general is very, very worth it. But you have to be very careful because Marduk actually has a very good whiff punisher when it comes to electrics, which is a down 4 to 1. Because this is a very long range whiff punisher. It's pretty easy to do because you know it's just one input. It's not an electric. And if they're like on point, they can whiff punish you with it. And of course it's like decent damage, right? And if this gets the wall, even more damage. So you have to be very, very careful about that. But in the neutral, electric is very, very good. And also your excuse me. And also your mix-up is also very, very good. So if you do like wave or hell sweeps, because his sidestep left is also a little bit weaker than normal, this is also harder to step. And it's the same with sidestep 3, not sidestep 3. Forward 3. This move right here. So if you do forward 3s, it's also hard to step for a Marduk. For example, right? So this is a little bit better to do than against an average character. But just be careful with forward 3s because forward 3 is like very, very bad when it comes to sidestepping. And even Marduk can sidestep it. Like just to showcase it, right? It's possible to sidestep it. Like Hell Sweep is a little bit harder. But of course even that is possible too. But it is harder. That's a bad showcase, but as I said, it's a little bit better. But still be careful, it's still sidesteppable. Like Hell Sweep and forward 3, they're not that homey. Okay. So that's like a neutral game plan that's usually good. And the one thing I also would really, really recommend is that you have to practice tackle breaks. Like I can't help you with this at all, with the speed lab, right? This is something you have to practice. You have to practice breaking them. One thing I can help you with is like techniques about it. So let's just start with this and then go about the actual moves. So when it comes to this, in the neutral, if you're playing too defensive, the Marduk player might just, you know, tackle you and fuck you up because you have to guess. Right? So for you to practice breaking this, you have to like catch the timing on when you have to press 1+2. It is a little bit hard, you can't always get it. Like as I'm not getting it right now, right? I'm pressing a little bit too late. But there's a certain timing to this, whenever you press. But the timing gets harder and harder the further you are from Marduk. Right? But this is how you practice it. You practice the exact timing when the pink stuff hits you, and then you press 1+2. But as I said, the timing changes depending on how far away you are from Marduk. So that's how you practice it, basically. So you have to react to them. React to this tackle with the 1+2. But it's hard. You won't always get it, as I said. But that's the best way to actually practice it, instead of doing like a mash 1+2, right? Like when you're mashing 1+2, you have a higher chance to fuck it up, instead of just like capturing the timing for it. Of course, mashing also works, but still, I would still like advise to see the timing and actually practice that. But now let's talk about when you know, miss out the throw break. There's a one technique that I use specifically, and I'll share with you guys as well. So what I do is very, very simple. When I get tackled, wait, let me record the tackle. When I record the tackle, I press 2 like this, and I hold it. I hold the 2, and unless I see a 1+2, which is reactable, I will hold the 2. So that means I will be breaking 2 or a 1+2, because 1+2 is reactable there. That's the technique I usually use. The other thing that I also do is that if I don't see a 2, like the 2 coming out, that hand coming out, I might just instantly change to a 1. That's like a reaction, right? But that doesn't work if the Marduk player starts, what's it called? Mixed up their hands. If they feint with one hand, that doesn't work anymore. So it's still basically a 50-50. So hold the 1 button, react to 1+2, and it's just a 50-50. Yeah, 1+2 you can break without pressing anything, but you do not want to do that. You always hold it 2. If you just press the 1+2, then you press the 1+2. If you see a 1+2, you react to it with a 1+2. That's what I do anyway, specifically. And it works really well most of the time. Most of the time it works pretty well. You'll be breaking a lot of stuff if you do that. I mean, of course, you still can get unlucky. It's a 50-50 in the end if the Marduk player does it well, but I think it's a good technique. For me specifically, it works decently. Okay. I think that's it about tackle, more or less. As I said, I can really help you when it comes to like breaking this. You have to go in practice mode and practice it. Like record Marduk doing this, 3+ or 1+2. And then in different ranges, try to break them. The more far away you are, the harder it is. Like this is very, very hard to break. This was hard to break as well. That's like borderline impossible, right? Very hard. So just practice breaking like close range first to see the timing on this break right here. Like whenever you get the hit, you can press 1+2 instantly, more or less. And you'll see the timing. Like I'm fucking up right now, right? Like I'm not that good at it. But you can like practice it a little bit more to see the timing on it. But yeah, try different ranges though. Okay, now let's talk about his actual moves, like actual buttons. Low punch while he's trying to grab you, you won't have the time. Like, oh, one thing I almost forgot to mention is that if you low punch here, you can try to react to it with this, but most of the time they might catch you. Like this is not a reactable thing most of the time. So you have to be very careful about risking something like that. Because if you try to low jab and you get tackled, you won't break it. But the one thing I can advise you is if the Marduk player actually does the tackle from far away, you can jump back. Like that. You might get hit, but it's okay. Like this jump back tech is actually very, very good. If you jump back and make the tackle whiff, you can actually punish it with a wall standing too. But it depends on how it hits, right? Like in this situation, wall standing 2 is a pure punish. Like that. But make sure that they're far away before doing this, because if they're too close, they'll still hit you a bit. As you guys saw in the first few instances, because I didn't backdash enough. But yeah, this tech is also pretty good. The backwards jump, make it whiff into wall standing 2 punish. Pretty decent. Okay. I'll talk about its moves. In the round start, there are a few moves that you have to like very, very much look out for. So one is this move, down 1+2. Pretty common round start move because this is a jab crush. So for example, if they start with this, your jabs will get crushed. Your highs will get crushed in general. See this? I don't know if an electric will get crushed though. Yup, no, electrics are too good. So be careful about this round start. The jab into down 1+2 is a setup as well, but usually you'll see this into, what's it called? A round start situation. So be careful about this. So doing highs at round start is pretty risky. So what do you do about this? Of course it's punishable, you can just block and back 1-2. By the way, do not try to 2-2 this because it can whiff sometimes. Like this 2-2 will work most of the time, but it can also whiff. It has the chance to whiff. So back 1-2 is gonna be your like go-to punish for range. Of course you can do this, wait it out and punish it. The other thing you can do is you can sidestep it. It's actually very easily steppable to one side. If you step to the right, it has a better tracking. Like look at this. If I sidestep and not block, I'm gonna get hit. But if I do it the same thing to the left, it whiffs. So you have to go to the left and punish it accordingly, right? If you make it whiff, of course you launch it. So if you sidestep to the left, I pretty much like this option against Marduk. Oh, Lan, thank you for the raid, man. Big thank you. Hope you'll have a good stream, bro. Hopefully had a good stream. But yeah, sidestep left at round start is a pretty good option. The other thing it also beats, and that some Marduk players also like to do, is this move right here. Down back 2. So down back 2 is also a very strong move on Marduk's. And it's also weak to sidestep left. That's why I really like the sidestep left option. Right? It beats all of that. Gotta go? Gotcha, bro. Have a good day. It beats literally down back 2 and down 1+2. So sidestep left is pretty good in my opinion. Like, quite good. But make sure to do a sidestep left block. Because if they just start with a down forward 1, for example, right? This has very good tracking. If you don't block, this will hit you. Even if you sidewalk, this will track you. So make sure to do this. Sidestep left and then block. So not only you beat the down forward 1, you also sidestep the down back 2, right? Like that. That's why sidestep blocking is such a strong option most of the time. So make sure to do that. Because Marduk players sometimes use down forward 1 as a tracking tool. But if you do sidestep blocks a lot, it won't really work. Okay. What else? I mean, Marduk players sometimes mix stuff up with lows as well. Like they might start with down forward, for example, right? In that case, a backdash duck may be a decent or a sidestep duck. It depends on what other options the Marduk player actually uses. But if you get hit by it, even that's okay. Like, you can sidestep left, right? But it will most likely still hit you. Like that, because it has tracking there. For whatever reason it has tracking there. But even if you get hit, it's okay. Just be aware of these options. Now, about down forward. I talked about how it is launch punishable. And now I talked about that some Marduk players also like using it at round start. But I haven't talked about the mind games it has on hit, which is pretty important. Since I'm talking about it, let me just go over them really quickly. So down 4 on hit actually has a couple of mind games. Even though this is -5, you know, -5 normally means that you can check it, right? Something like a down forward 4, a back 2 for Gaz, right? Or down forward 1 even. All this is checks. But Marduk players have setups after this. Get parry after? Yes, but that's one of the setups. So this into a parry. Pretty common. This parry, right? Very common. If you try any kind of check, you will get parried, if it's fast enough though. Something like that. 1+2. All this shit is getting parried. I think 14 and 15 won't get parried here. But if you do something fast, even like a jab, it will get parried. Osatro, hello man. Still play the game? Hey, you gotta get there somehow, man. You know his setups? Yeah, if you eat it a lot, you know it, of course. I ate it too, that's how I know it. That's one of the setups. The other setup is this one. This is also a very common one. Jabs beat it. Also 12 frame beats it. But if you do a 13 frame check, this will beat you. Also one of the setups. That's why, in my opinion, doing a jab check or a 1-2 check is very, very good here. There's only something like a parry will beat it. Right? And especially if you do this, you also have time to duck it. Right? Most of the time anyway. Damn, my pad just disconnected for no reason. So yeah, be aware of this. Those are like the two most common setups after down 4. One's a parry, and one's this. Of course, they can also do multiple down 4s. They can also do that, just continue the pressure. Especially if you like jabbing after it, right? If they do multiple down 4s, like down 4 to down 4. And if you jab, and a little bit late, you might, you know, get hit by it if you don't instantly jab. And most of the time you have to, you won't instantly jab. Most of the time anyway. Okay. I mean, down 4 more or less has that. Mind the game, more or less. It's either you checking them or not checking them, basically. And if you don't check them, they might, you know, continue their pressure. With, as I said, more down 4s, maybe a down 3, maybe going to this stance. But yeah, we're going to talk about Marduk's pressure a little bit later. But now I also want to talk about... what's that move? Up forward 3. There you go. I just remembered. Massive thing for follow. So upward 3 I think is his best mid. In my opinion, this is his best mid move. And a lot of Marduk players abuse this because it's absolutely bullshit. This move is very, very strong. So it's a mid that jumps, right? It actually low crushes. There are some jumping moves that look like they're jumping but aren't actually. Like something like Negan's up forward 4 comes to mind. That doesn't actually low crush, but this is actually a jumping move that's 20 frames fast. And it's a normal hit knockdown, and it's a counter launcher. It's really strong. Down jab? Yeah, down jab is also one of the options here, yeah, definitely, but you don't see this that often. You don't see it as often. They use it, of course, but it's not as often as the other options. Okay, now let's continue to talk about this move. So this move is a bane of your existence if a Marduk player abuses it, because it's very, very strong. Thankfully, it has the same kind of weaknesses as that, this, and this has. Which is sidestep to the left, right? It's pretty steppable to the left. And it's not that steppable to the right. So that's why I would never advise anyone to sidestep Marduk to the right. Unless it's like a very specific move. But sidestep left is normally the way you want to go because of these moves. Normally. So you can sidestep to the left and then punish it, either with the launcher or 1-4-3, depending on how you sidestep it, of course. But now let's talk about the properties that makes this move so strong. Of course, one of the things, big things, is this property, which does a shit ton of damage, right? Look at this. Okay, that wasn't the right combo. Let me try to do it. Something like this. Like, even this is not the right combo, right? But it's still 79 damage. You see this shit? That's like almost 80 damage. This is insane damage for something like this. But now let's talk about the block property, which is why it's so strong. Like, if it was like -9, it wouldn't be as strong. But this move, this up forward 3, it's -2. 2. This is insane. -2 for this kind of move is actually insane. Like something like my back 2 or down forward 4 is not even -2. And something like my Mustang 4 is like -3. So having this move being -2, only -2, is absolutely insane. And that's why Marduk players actually have a lot of leeway when it comes to this move on block. Very, very common setups include something like this into down jab. Very, very common. And they do this because it's -2. So this in down jab, not only does this beat any kind of jab retaliation, right? If you jab or do any kind of highs like a match before, he will beat it. Or if you do a down forward 3, not down forward 3, down forward 4, which is your 13 frame mid check, that will also beat it. And this will trade with the 12 frame mid check. As you guys can see, my 1+2 trades with this. So be very, very aware of this specific situation. Hard to think for follow. Because this move is a bane of your existence. They can also parry after it, of course, but it's a little bit riskier. The other players also down forward 1 after it. Because if you, for example, sidestep to the left or sidewalk, good riddance, you get launched. Right? Usually, what I would advise is to sidestep here, but be very, very careful when it comes to sidestepping because of this. And that's why I always said, and that I already said, to sidestep into a block all the time. All the time. Do not let this clip you. It's gonna be hard on like worse connections. It's gonna be hard on like consoles. But yeah, sidestep blocking is normally what you want to do. But yeah, be aware of this. And the Marduk players also have other options. Like they can do this into jabs because you're respecting it so much. Also another option. If you respect it too much, you gotta, you know, expect the jabs. And if you sidestep block, the second one, you know, kind of clips you. If you sidewalk, you can actually avoid it, but if you're sidewalking, as I already said, you might get hit by down forward 1. I don't know why my pad is fucking up. Wait. Let me disconnect and reconnect it. Okay, we should be good. Yeah, Marduk's very dumb, Satoru, I agree. Very, very dumb. Like, this move is very dumb. Okay, now let's talk about down 3, which is another low poke that Marduk has, which is also very, very strong. What pad am I using? DS4, just like on the screen. This shit right here. Blue DS4. So down 3. The down 3 is his main low poke in my opinion, which is very, very strong. I think people kind of underestimate how good down 3 is, especially Marduk players underestimate how good this is. They don't use this enough in my opinion. So this is -1 move that does 18 damage. That's already very good because it's very fast as well. 16 frames and has a lot of range. It also makes a lot of space. And that last point that I made, which is, you know, it makes a lot of space, is why it's so strong in my opinion. But this move doesn't have a counter property, like it doesn't really do anything on counter it, just increases damage. The frames are exactly the same. And it's -12. But what makes this so strong is the little bit of a pushback and space you have when this hits. Because something like this into a backdash for a Marduk player will make a lot of stuff whiff. Right? Something like my down forward 4 even can whiff if the spacing is correct, or back 2. Or down forward 1. Or an electric. Like all this stuff. All these checks can very easily whiff if Marduk just backdashes 1 time. So the main usage for this kind of lows, it's like very, very similar to other lows that are similar to this as well. And we have something like Shaheen's down 4. You know, stuff like that. They make space and whiff punish you for it. So you have to be very, very careful about retaliating after this. Which makes this -1 not really a -1, you know, you can't really jab freely here. So be very careful. And something like this into this might even be a thing. Because if you always jab here, right, because it's -1, you might get launched for free. Or do a high check like a Magic 4. Be very careful when it comes to this move. Oh, and then, I almost forgot. The sidestep direction is basically homing. This is also one of the main reasons this move is so good. You guys see this homing? I can't sidewalk it. See that? This is ridiculous. Dumb move. I can sidewalk it if I double sidestep. Like sidestep into another sidestep. Right? Let's try to do that. Sidestep block, sidestep, yeah, then it whiffs. So yeah, this move has amazing tracking. 16 frames, very fast. Only -1, so it's not that bad. Has a lot of range, creates space, which creates a mind game situation, because you don't want to be pressing. That means if you don't want to be pressing, Marduk wants to be pressing. What does that mean? That means that he can fucking pressure you to hell after down 3, because you're scared to press. But one thing I would advise, if the Marduk player does down 3 when he's very close, pressing in that situation ain't that bad. It's not that bad, because the space that he creates ain't as big as like this, for example, right? This kind of hit. So yeah, be careful. Ages since you've seen a double sidestep? Yeah, because double sidestepping ain't worth it anymore as much. It can be done, but it's not worth it anymore. So I'll be very careful about that. And the other low he has is this one, which is very, very annoying. I'm gonna be very honest, this is one of the most annoying lows. Like, this is very annoying as well, right? But this is very annoying too, because this, though, is a jab trap and a high trap in general. For example, a Marduk player might do this into this, right? And if you retaliate with jabs, that will crush, and if it counter hits, goodbye health, 60 damage. Right? So be very, very careful. And one of the most bullshit things about this move is that it tracks completely to one side, to the right. But as I always say, you have to step to the left anyway. A step block will avoid it. That's very good. Oh, and on block it's -12. That's why it's bullshit. I can't TP it. I fucking hate this move because I can't TP it. Piston punishable? It's not. It's not. I wish it was. It's Gigas is down back 2, which is TP punishable. But this is not. It's -12. So yeah, be very careful about this. Usually the best thing to do about it is either make it whiff with a sidestep, make it whiff with a backdash, or low parry it, instead of blocking it. Unless you have a good, 11 or 12 frame punisher. So yeah, be careful about this. This is basically a high trap. If they do something like, 1-2 into this, they basically read a high. Basically is what they do. And that's why they do it. Or they just do it because they want to poke. Who knows? You can't tell with Marduk players. In sidestep? Yeah, it is steppable. It depends on the frames, of course, but it is steppable like this. And you can also punish it with a high. It doesn't with a high crush on it. That's why I always say sidestep block is a very, very good option against this character. You kind of want to force them into other stuff. Oh, the other thing about Marduk is that he has some strings that you have to know about. Like, I won't talk about them, like most of them, in this speed lab, as I always say. I won't be teaching you guys strings. That's what going into the practice mode and labbing is for, right? Like, this is for, like, usually mind games and how to deal with the most, bullshit moves and the strongest moves they have. That's what I'm doing the speed labs for, mostly. Like, something like this, for example, is a string. You just have to know to not press up 4-4-3, right? Or you have to know that you have to duck after down forward 4 because there's a high right here. And it's the same thing with while standing 1-2, that you have to know to duck this. But this is a separate matter. Actually, I will be talking about this because this has a lot of mind games. Okay. The other stuff I have to talk about. So I talked about this, and the 3 lows. 3 mids, 3 lows. I also talked about tackle, which is very important, and I talked about down forward 1. So this is basically a homing mid, and you have to be punishing it correctly almost all the time. -13, just back 1-2. You can also 2-2, and it works most of the time, but I usually don't risk it, because I don't know, sometimes I think it's gonna whip. And most of the time it will work. This speed lab? Yep, it is. It is speed lab. Giga Chad if you perfect electric? Yeah, I mean, if you perfect electric, that's Giga Chad. Let me try it. I can't do it. Yeah, no. I'm not that good. Yeah, it's very hard. Maybe I would be able to do it, but I don't want to waste too much time. Okay. Oh, the other mid. This is the last mid I want to talk about. There are like other stuff you can talk about as well. No, actually, it's not the last mid. I just remembered one of the most bullshit ones. Okay, so back 2. First, let's talk about back 2. So this move is the slow counter move. That's also tracking that Marduk has, because of course he needs it. So this is kind of like King's Fort forward 1, kind of like Unimitsu set 2, kinda, right? And kind of like Asuka forward 4-3. Also kind of like Paul's up back 2. There are too many moves like this, man. Is it up back 2? I think it's up back 2. I hate this kind of move. So this is one of those classic unstoppable moves, which has a million range, is mid, is tracking, and it's safe. Yeah, Nina's down back 2, also one of them. There's too many of them. And I almost forgot, it's a counter launcher as well, right? But not only is it the counter launcher, it's a counter launcher that does a shit ton of damage. Like, I'm gonna do a shitty combo. That was 76 damage. So, yeah. Look at this shit, right? that's a safe move. The only weakness it has is that it's a little bit slow. It's 22. So if you do counter hit like this or electric, so most of the time get counter hit, right? Something like a down forward 2 as well. But for example, using movement against this is not really an option. But since it's so slow, a side step left block will also block it. So it's not that big of a problem. But most of the time you won't be able to backdash it either. The weakness it has is that it's a little bit slow. I say a little bit because it's not that slow. Like, look at this. This is 21, right? And this is slower because it comes from a wave dash. Of course, it's not as minus, it's only -5. But this, at its fastest, can come like, I don't know, 24 frames if I do it as fast as possible. This comes from a wave dash. And that doesn't even do half as much as this does, right? Even though this is 22, so this is faster. You might look at the frames, oh, 21, this is faster, but that's not really the case. Okay. What else? Oh, I almost forgot. This. This is the best, one of the best mids he has. Like, there are too many good mids Marduk has. Like, this is bullshit mid, right? This is also kind of bullshit mid. Pretty good. This is also kind of a bullshit mid. But then there's this move, down forward 3. Holy fuck, this move. So this move, down forward 3. It's also steppable to the left. That's why I always say step left. But it's very, very hard to actually punish this. This move, just this string, is so good. It's basically unpunishable, and it's safe, and it does a lot of damage. So down forward 3. By itself, it's not that good, right? It's whatever. But what makes it so strong is that it has transitions to jabs. So this into 1-2, or this into jab in general, is a transition. And you can do jab strings after down forward 3. So you can even do down forward 3, 1, down 2. Right? Which is a safe jab string, -9. And if you, let's say you step down forward 3, right? Let's say you step down forward 3. And you try to punish it. That jab comes out so fast that it's hard to punish with something like an electric, for example, right? Or anything fast other than, I don't know, a normal like 12 frame punisher. So you have to be very careful here. It's very, very hard to punish. And the worst part, why this is so strong, is that this, if it hits you, like this also works as a mix-up, right? It's a mid, obviously. Almost all mids, especially if they're fast, work as a very good mix-up. If this hits you, this is all natural. This is 33 damage, all natural, starts with a mid. Right? It starts with a mid. Leaves him in +7, and it's safe on block. You guys are seeing this shit, right? Oh, and one more thing is that you can kinda punish this on a hard read if you duck it like that. But you guys see this? It's very hard to punish because the second mid is super fast. Super fast. But if you're very fast, it can work. But this is when I'm talking about something like Kazuya's Twin Pistons 13 frame Punisher. So if you have a 15 frame Punisher, you have to give up about launching it. The best punish you can do here is a 4-4. And this is on a hard read, right? A very, very hard read. Because there's also a mix-up here, because of course there is. That's why this is like, another reason this is so strong, because Marduk actually has a mid here. So if you duck a jab, surprise, you get launched. This mid right here, is a normal hit launcher. So it doesn't matter if you're ducking, even if you like press forward, or you know, if you duck, this will launch you. And if you have a hard read on jabs, too bad, you're gonna get launched if they decide to do this, right? So yeah, that's very, very strong. Also, why it's so strong is that just this, I think it's -13, 12. It's -12, so you have to back one to punish it. It's not even like that punishable, right? But what makes this even better is that it has a mind game to it, because it has a follow-up. This right here. So this follow-up is a high. Of course, if you guess the follow-up's coming and duck, you can duck and punish it with a long standing tree. A lot of damage. Like maximum damage, right? Whatever you want to do. But if you try to punish this, you are gonna get countered. Unless you punish with something like a down jab or a down 2, right? Or a high crushing 12 framer would be like the best option select here. So yeah, down forward 3 as a move is very, very strong because it has these string extensions. This mid, this jab, and the Marduk's jab pressure is very strong. So let's immediately transition to Marduk's jab pressure, because I think it's very, very important to talk about that. Oh, and remember that whenever I talk about jab pressure, it also is the pressure from a mid move, which is this, because this immediately transitions into the jabs. So Marduk's jabs, 1-2, forward 1. This is like a classic move, very, very classic. So after 1-2, this forward 1 is a high, that's also a plus for Marduk. So you can't be pressing here. And if you do press, you're gonna get counter launched. So let me showcase that. 1-2 forward 1. This shit, this just launches you, you know, whatever damage. 60 something damage. I did a bad combo here, but yeah, 60 something damage. So you have to be very careful after Marduk's 1-2. That means if you see a 1-2, you're kinda want to duck, right? Because the 1-2 forward 1, as I already said, this is a high. Duck it, you can punish it. You can even punish it while standing to it. It doesn't have the best of recoveries. But now this is how Marduk starts his pressure. Right? 1-2. After 1-2. If you are forced to duck, this means that Marduk can actually continue pressure after this. Not only can he continue pressure with something like a 1-2 into down 3, right? Or 1-2 down 4, or 1-2 into this. Especially if you fuzzy duck and get up, this will hit you. But he can also continue pressure with his stance. Because this is cancelable into his stance, which is the most scary part in my opinion. Because if you respect this too much, he's also gonna go into stance and mix you up. Zoro, hello. But there's not only that, he also has a mid here. So this into mix up, this into high, or this into mid. A lot of options after jabs. This is Marduk's jab pressure, as I like to call it. He starts his pressure and mind games immediately after these jabs. And these jabs can come out after down forward 3. You know, this is very strong. Very, very strong in my opinion. So if you do something like this, and you respect this high, for example, and you don't press anything, he will mix you up. And the mix-up is basically kinda like Kazuya's mix-up. Kinda like it. When the hell sweep or a mid. But there's no wave dash required, it's just a stance hell sweep. But yeah, this move is very, very strong, and this move is also very strong. But before I go into the stance, I'll talk about the stance a bit later. Let's talk about this 1-3. Because you guys have to know how to deal with this if it comes out. So 1-3 on zone is -16. Right? So you can actually launch this with electric. With any kind of launcher you can launch it if you block it. So that is very, very good to know. But on hit, it's not that much plus either. You're the one actually who's plus. So that's good to remember as well. But the thing is, it has an extension. Right? Not only does it have an extension, the extension is a natural hit combo. You cannot block this if you get hit by this one, and it does a lot of damage. And it's also high. And also, if you try to punish this, let's say I try to electric this, right? You are gonna get hit by the side. There are option selects here, of course, the down jab, for example, down 2, down 4, those kind of option selects. They exist. But you have to remember that that high also exists. So you have to play the mind game and sometimes launch this, and sometimes duck this. That's like the correct way to deal with this anyway. But you can't know for sure if the Marduk player feels like finishing it or not. As I said, it's a mind game, it's a mix-up. You can option select it, but then your reward is gonna be very, very low. Okay. That's about 1, 2, 3. More or less. Oh, and I almost forgot. This high on block, if you block this, it's only -4. But it's -4 for you, so it's +4 Marduk. It's not that much plus, right? -4 ain't that big a deal. But you're forced crouch, and it's +4 Marduk, which is like, you don't want to be in that situation if you block this. That's why you almost always have to choose either punish the 3rd mid or duck the 4th high. Yeah, you really don't want to be in this position. You really don't want to. Okay. Now let's talk about stance. This stance right here. I don't remember what this stance is called, but it really doesn't matter. So after this stance, like 1-2 stance, you're gonna be in the mix-up. And it doesn't matter if it's like after 1-2. If they're close and they're in this stance, you're gonna be in the mix-up. They can also do that after a knockdown, right? Do this into a mix-up. The usual options here is either a hell sweep. This is a hell sweep. This is a low mid. This hell sweep, very, very hard to step. Look at this shit. It's steppable to the right a bit, right? It has a slight tracking to the right still, but it's steppable. But as I said, normally you do want to be stepping to the left anyway. That's why it's so good that it has tracking to the left. Very, very good. And the mix-up is either with this, they can cancel this stance into this one. Oh fuck. Right? And if you duck, you will get launched by this move. And not only is it strong just because it's a mid mix-up, it's also strong because it's a high crush, as I already mentioned about this move. So if you try to like jab check it, it won't work. The jab checks in general are very bad against this stance. Because not only does this high crush, like for example, this will high crush, right? Jab check, it won't work. But also, the hell sweep also high crushes, unlike Kazuya's hell sweep, for example, right? This actually has a high crush. You can't jab check this. Impossible. So almost always, if you want to check a Marduk player, use a mid. You have to use a mid. And if you want a good reward, you also have to use a counter hit mid. So something like down forward 2, right? Of Kazuya is like a good example. Or if you have something similar to this, you can also use that. Or you can also use a hopper. Something like that. So just remember, use mids here. But you also, if you actually just use a mid immediately after 1-2, you also risk getting countered by this, which lies the mix-up. You know, this is the mind game. If you respect 1-2, you're gonna get schmixed by this, because you can't really react to it. But if you don't respect it in mash, like Kazuya down forward 2, right? Then you're gonna get countered by this. There are like option selects here with something like a down 4, right? If you're down 4 here, you actually, you know, check the VTS stance as well, and you also check this. But then this becomes a little bit, you know, annoying. Because they have this option for it, and they can also just 1-2 into low parry, right? If they want to low parry, you're gonna get fucked. So be careful about being too predictable with your options. That's basically what I'm saying. Oh, the other mix-ups Marduk players also do is while standing 3, it's a mid mix-up to the hell sweep. Which is a little bit worse in my opinion, but it is faster. Because this takes a little bit of time to cancel, even though it's like almost instant, right? It still takes a little bit of time. But while standing 3 is also one of the options they have. And the big difference about while standing 3 is that this hits grounded. You see this shit? Look at this. Right? This flips you over when you're grounded. So if you're staying down as an option to, you know, avoid the hell sweep and they do this, this will just flip you over. Yeah, Reaper, sure bro, sure. Have a good night. Have a good night, man. So be very careful about that. And the other options Marduk players also have in this stance, there are like 2 other mid options. Is a 2, which is a tracking mid, that also wall splats, which is also safe, and it's a countered launcher. So yeah, this move is pretty good, right? I'm pretty sure you guys can see how strong this move is. Tracking mid, you cannot step this. The only time you can step it is if you have a lot of frames. That most likely won't happen. Like right now I'm sidewalking it, right? But even that's very hard to do. And you have to time it correctly. This is basically tracking. It's -8. At the wall, it will instantly wall splat you. And if you do check, counter launcher. That does a lot of damage, right? 71. And I don't think if I'm doing the correct combo here. So, very strong move. This is another mid that they can do. And then there's wall standing 1 checks, which is like a safer option with more mind games. Dude, Marduk's mind games are so... It gives me a headache whenever I think about it, but there are a lot of characters like this, so you kind of have to get used to it. Like, what can I say? So wall standing 1 is also one of them. But before I talk about wall standing 1's mind games, the other one is this. This into full crouch move. This is a mid mix-up. This is also one of the safer options Marduk has, because it's +7. If you duck, it does decent damage, 40 damage. Right? 45 on counter it. So it's really good. Also one of the mid options. But now let's talk about wall standing 1 and the mind game it has. It's actually very similar to the 1-2 mind game. But it has a little bit less options because it doesn't have a mid extension. So wall standing 1 and wall standing 1-2 is like a string, right? 11 frame wall standing string. This is duckable, obviously. You can duck it, you can launch it. Right? And if you press, it's gonna counter launch you. Bam, into whatever the combo is. But now there comes the mix-up. After wall standing 1, you kind of don't want to press because of this, right? You don't want to press, you're gonna counter launch. You kind of want to duck so you have a good reward. And you duck this, and then you launch it. But then comes the mind game of wall standing 1 stance cancel. Because you're respecting wall standing 1, they'll do this shit. So let's say you duck here, get up, you're gonna get hit. If you duck and stay down, you're basically getting mixed by that stance. So this into this. Let's say you duck, stay down. That's a mix-up. So you have to be very careful here. Like it's a very similar mix-up to this and the 1-2 stance cancel. Very similar. Down 4, yeah, exactly just like I said when it comes to this. If you down 4 here, it also will work. But this actually counter hits you if they instantly finish this. You can't down 4. Let's try like a down jab, right? This also counter hits you. And if you duck and then down 4, this will work a little bit better. But then of course it still has the same kind of weakness as that other one does, right? But at least it creates some kind of mind game. But if you first crouch and then down 4, I don't know if you have enough time here for a full crouch down 4, right? I don't think you do. Sometimes you may be able to, but you can fuck it up. So be careful about this. Be very careful. Like this mix-up is hard to deal with because of that. But one of the best ways to deal with this is to force the Marduk player to finish this a lot. So if you check wall standing 1 a lot, for example, after wall standing 1, just check with something safe, like down forward 4, right? Or down forward 1. Or you use electrics or stuff like that to check him. Then the Marduk player will start thinking, oh, this bitch is pressing and mashing after wall standing 1, so let me finish it. You kind of want them to do that because you get this huge punish on it. So that's basically the mind game there. Basically is what it is. But as I said, it's risky and you have to be very aware of this. But it's also risky for the Marduk player because if you just don't do anything at the wall standing 1, he's kind of forced to mix you up. And if you guess correctly, of course, you get a good launch. Unless you guess the mid, which you only get a 12 frame punish. like you guess this, or if you guess this, you don't really get a launch, you just get a back one too. So yeah, be very, very aware of that. Yeah, what else to talk about? There's the rage drive to talk about as well, but I want to do that a little bit later. There are like some common moves that the Marduk players like to use as well. Like one of the most common setups that I also see is back 3. So back 3 is a move that Marduk players use as a mid check, kinda, which is also a counter launch. Right? But it's also weak to sidestep left block like the other moves. But one thing that I see Marduk players doing a lot, and they get away with it a lot as well, is that they always jab after this, because this is just 0. Not a lot of people know that this is 0. It doesn't look 0, but it's actually just 0 on block. So you have to be very careful whenever, you know, this gets blocked. The Marduk player most likely will have some kind of thing in mind, either jabs or maybe this if you jab as well. So something this into this might be a setup for your own jabs, right? So be careful. Try to sidestep left block in that situation as well, and most of the time you'll be safer. One of the other things that's also very, very little minus, it's actually plus. Then I forgot. I thought this was 0. Okay, is this move. Sidestep 1+2. So sidestep 1+2, it looks like you're in a lot of minus, right? But it's only -1. But what makes this move so strong is the on-hit property. It just instantly knocks you down. Instantly. So be very, very aware of this on block. Because most likely the Marduk player will jab you. Maybe even a down jab. And it's kind of the same with down 1. Oh, this is the 0 on block move. Okay. So down 1 is also the same. Like these mids have very, very good frames. This, and this. So you have to be very aware of what your options are after that. I'm just telling you just so you guys know. Because the Marduk player most likely will jab after it. Or if you're respecting it, most likely they'll mix you up with either the stance. Yeah, what's wrong with my pad? Yeah, they'll mix you up with either the stance or maybe just, you know, normal pokes like down 3. The setup, yeah, this into down back 2 is also a setup. But that's why I said the sidestep left block is very good here. Right? Because it avoids that. And this usually works. This setup usually works because you guys think you have a lot of frames, but because of the pushback, you try to dash in first before a button, right? Like a dash and enter, or even a hell sweep, or a forward 4-3. Then you get countered. That's why the setup works so well, because this thing has a pushback. Okay, I guess let's talk about the reach now. Let me think if I have anything else that I'm supposed to say. Back 4 is also one of the moves Marduk players like to use, but it's not as much. Oh, I almost forgot. Yeah, back 4. This move is very, very important to talk about. I almost forgot about this. I can't believe it. So back 4 is the move Marduk players will use for sidestep to the left. This is the move that they use for it. Because this has full tracking to the left. You can't do anything about this. And you have to sidestep this to the right if you want to avoid it. But even then, it has like decent tracking. Right? It's a 14 frame mid that has decent tracking both sides, but full tracking to the left side. You guys see that, right? It's very hard to avoid this. But this is the one move that most Marduk players use when you start sidestepping to the left to check you. 1+2. Oh yeah, 1+2. I don't see this that much, but 1+2 is also a good move. The shove, Marduk shove. So if Marduk shoves you, obviously, on the counter hit, it's gonna be a free launch for him, right? Down forward 1. Oh god. Oh, that! I almost forgot. Oh, good thing I misinputted that. I forgot that. And it's only -9 as well with a lot of pushback. So you have to be careful. After this, they can mash, because it has the same kind of mind game. If you do a dash button, they might counter you with either jabs or something fast, right? If you press something slow, they might just backdash out of it because there's so much pushback. So be careful about the shove as well. Oh, and the thing about this is that it's also steppable. So sidestep left block, as I said, it's very good. But just be aware of back forward. This just automatically beats your sidestep left block because it's fast, it's 14 frames. You may be able to block it still, but it tracks you, so you have to be careful. Another thing I was talking about, back one. So this move, everyone thinks that it's punishable. This has a very, very famous setup. I don't know if a lot of people know it, but a lot of Marduk players use it. This into instant parry. Very, very common, because everyone will stand force you. This setup is so common. It's so common. I see Koreans use this. Everyone uses this. Look at this shit, right? Any kind of check you do, you get parried here. It's a very, very common setup. I see it a lot. This into parry. Just forces people, what's it called? Force people to either respect this move and not check it with the last stand move, and you know, wait to punish the parry, which is like optimal, or do something like a full crouch move, right? Yeah, just like Tommy, you said, full crouch move, or even a down jab can work, right? Forward 4-3 and stuff like that also works, but that's like, you know, a slow move that avoids the parry into whatever combo you want. Yeah, you gotta remember that. But the thing is, most of the time, even if you get hit by this, it's okay. Because if you know it exists, then you'll be like, holy shit, I know this is a thing, right? And next time you won't get hit as much. So it's okay. Okay. What else? Oh, forward 3. I want to talk about this as well, and then I'm gonna go to Rage Drive. So this is also a move that Marduk players sometimes throw out. You don't see good Marduk players throw this out that much. But it's a mid-mid, that's a normal hit launcher, does very, very good damage. And it's only -11. One thing I'm just gonna show you guys is that this kind of steppable. It's still hard to step, but only to one side. You can't step this to the right, for example, right? That's why you have to have sidestep left in your head all the time. You can actually sidestep it to the left. Like, against Marduk in general, sidestep left is the way you want to go. Unless you're seeing this. If you're seeing this a lot, maybe go to the right once or twice so you can punish it. Because you can't sidestep this. Okay, now let's go to Rage. There's so many good moves he has. It's Marduk, man. Yeah. Let's go to Rage. So this Rage Drive is very, very... what's it called? Efficient. Very, very efficient. There's anything to call. Because it does a lot of stuff. One of the things it does is it increases your combo damage by 1,000,000. Like this, bump, 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 right? Almost 100 damage if you guess wrong. That's one of the biggest things it does. Increases combo damage by a lot, even after something like a down forward 1, right? It's gonna be especially big after something like this. Wait, like something like this, right? This shit, this into, I don't know, this shit. You're basically dead, right? One counter at launch, which is also safe in -2, by the way. I already talked about how bullshit this one is. You're basically dead if he has rage and you guess wrong. So that's one of the things it does. I already told you guys how to do, like, how I deal with tackle anyway. You guys can either copy it or, you know, think of another way. But the other utilization it has is just, you know, comes at you full speed like a bull and tries to hit you. And you're gonna get damaged by a lot by this as well. The weaknesses this has is that it can kind of be stepped at one side, but it's very, very inconsistent. As you guys can see, I can't really do it that well. There you go. You can be sidewalked sometimes to the left, but very inconsistent. So I would not advise sidestepping this at all. Treat this like a tracking move, which is, you know, kind of bullshit on its own, right? You have to treat it as a tracking move. But now let's talk about the properties on block, which is like, you know, the biggest issue about it. So when this gets blocked, Marduk player actually gets a pure mix-up here. Either with this mid right here, block this, or this low right here. And this is a pure mix-up. You cannot mash here. You cannot step this either side. What you can do is you can jump over it. But jumping over it, of course the mid's gonna hit you. That's why it's a mix-up. And of course you can just block it, which is a lot of minus. It's minus 24. So let's talk about this low. This low has a very, very special property when it comes to Kazuya specifically. It's gonna be against some other characters as well, most likely. But I just know this for sure about Kaz. Is that if you block this and while standing 2, it's gonna whiff. Like, I'll showcase it. You block this shit while standing 2, but look what happens. This is consistent. This always happens. You have to know this. This is something you gotta know. This does not work. It always whiffs, consistently. So if you're playing Kazuya against Marduk and you block this, do not while standing 2 instantly. You have to wait just a bit and then while standing 2. Can you wait exactly, Kami? You have to wait just a little bit and then while standing 2. Because you do have the time. But it's a little bit iffy, you know, it's kind of fucked up. You just have to wait enough. But don't wait too much either, because you do want to punish it. So it is fucked up. And you can't really electric punish this either. 4-4-3 works, but you have to be very fast with it. And delay hop kick also works. But it's a little bit more, I don't know what to say. Hard to do. But I guess waiting for it is pretty hard as well. But just know that instant while standing 2 whiffs. Like Appos, yes, Appos have the same kind of property there. But now let's talk about the, what's it called, the mid option. So, this shit. This into mid. So there's one thing that not a lot of people know about this mid option. And it is that it's steppable. You can actually step it and do this to it, right? You can step this and launch it. Not a lot of people know this, so I'm telling you, you can do this. But there's a trick to it. This is very, very consistent, but there's a trick to it. And I'll tell you guys the trick. The trick is, it only works when the Marduk player race drives you from close up. So if they're close and they race drive you, you can sidestep this. Just like that. Well, not sidestep. Sidewalking. I don't think a sidestep works. Okay, sidestep works as well. Both works. I sidewalk most of the time though. But if they're far away, like let's say, like this, and you try to sidewalk it, that's a no-go. Right? So be careful about how it gets blocked. You see that? You cannot step this. So be very, very aware. Because there, it's like a pure mix-up. You can't get a reward out of knowing that he's gonna mid or not. So yeah, that's BS, yeah, but that's just how it is. Because the plus frames change. Special mid-range, does it? I don't know about that. No, not really, it's a mid. Oh, that's special mid? I don't know about that. Actually. Right? Okay, no, I tried it. I cannot. Yeah, you can't low parry that. I'm guessing it's because it's a headbutt. But that was a good one, though. That's a good observation. That was a very good observation. Oh, and when it gets blocked like that, that weird special mid block, this is when it's punishable. You can actually punish that. Right. Not those, like the very long range one. This, you can punish this. Most of the time it's better to punish with a down 3. Do not try to forward this is Kazuya, because the low might get you, because forward is quite slow. Can you sidestep and down block? No, you cannot. You have to guess there. So even if, let's say, it's close range race drive, and you sidestep here, because there's a mid coming. This is a pure guess, because you do not have the time to down block. You either sidestep or duck. So let me showcase that, wait. That's what I gotta show you guys as well. Fuck, I didn't. I'm supposed to do the low, man. There we go. So if I sidestep here, I'm gonna get fucked. There's no sidestep blocking here. If I do this kind of sidestep block, you guys saw this, right? The miniest of sidesteps. This will not evade the mid. This sidestep block will not evade the mid. It's not enough of a sidestep. So that's why it's still a mix-up. Marduk counter lab? Yep, Marduk speed lab. So you have to be very, very careful. You still have 50-50. The only difference is that you can have a big reward if you guess the mid. And you also have a very big reward if you guess the low. So it's in your favor when it comes to close-up rage drives. But it's in Marduk's favor when it comes to far-away rage drives, because the mid actually is safe. It's a safe mid and you can't step it. Side the block on keyboard? I don't know, bro. Yeah, when spaced, it's like much more Marduk favored, because, you know, the mid doesn't really give you any kind of reward even if you guess correctly. I don't think you can even power crush through it, I'm gonna be honest. Maybe you can. But yeah, this is usually what it is. The one thing I also want to say is this move. I forgot to mention this mid, which is also a very strong mid that Marduk has. So this can be used as a mid mix-up when it comes to Marduk players. Like if they like do this a lot, right? Do these a lot. The QCF1, yeah, this is a QCF1. It can be used as a mid mix-up, which is also very, very strong. Right? Look at this, right? The damage, whatever damage this is. Okay, that was with rage, but it's still gonna be pretty good damage. And why is this so strong? It's very strong because it's -10. And it becomes -9 in some ranges. You guys are looking at this, right? You guys saw the -9. I can't punish that. You can punish it most of the time, close range, but it's only -10. And yeah, there's also a follow-up. Right? If you try to punish this, you're gonna get hit by the second one. Let me try to delay it a little bit better. Let's try punishing this with a jab. Boom, you get hit. Also, you can't sidestep this. And you can't power crush this. Oh, I almost forgot, it's safe. Right? Even if he hits you, the only thing he sacrifices is combo damage. So this is safe. Ain't that fun? The only thing you can do about this is that if he charges it too much, you can actually sidestep it. But even then, it's very hard to step because you have to time it correctly. You guys see this, right? You have to time this. It's not worth stepping, basically. So this move, very strong. You always thought the second was a high. Yeah, it looks like a high, kind of, but it's a mid. Can't duck it. Well, maybe Zafina can. Maybe AOP will work there, you know, as an option select. And you can just punish it. But yeah, we're playing Kazuya here, this Kazuya speed lab. Not the gear that we can do. Oh, he ducks some mids too, yeah. Yeah, I mean this, I already talked about this. Right? I just have to know to duck it. You know, the mind game is like very similar to any kind of high mind game. Just this. You either duck it or don't, and they continue pressure. But yeah, I think that's it. YouTube, big thank you for watching. Hopefully this is helpful. This is how I know Marduk myself anyway. Most likely I missed some stuff, but as usual, that's just how it's gonna be. And I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.